Hello, Bootcampers. Let's put our understanding of support vector machines to practice and let's take a very interesting dataset and see how our algorithm performs on the dataset. Now, this is a beaten to death dataset which have been attempted by thousands of people across the globe to improve it constantly. This comes from a paper by Frey and Slate. What they did was took all the English capital alphabets A to Z, and then they took all of these alphabets in 20 different forms, 20 different fonts. Now, on each of these fonts, they performed some random distortions to distort these alphabets, producing some geometrical features, and they recorded all these geometrical features. The question and the problem we are going to attempt is, given all these geometrical features, can we use support vector machine to predict the letter? Now we start with importing pandas for our data frame operations, NumPy for our array calculations, matplotlib standard plotting library, and matplotlib inline to render our plots within Jupyter notebooks. I'm going to import test train split from sklearn model selection. This would help me split the dataset into two parts, test and train. I'm going to import support vector machine from sklearn. I'm going to import classification report to see how well my algorithm has performed. I'm going to read this dataset and produce a head. Head would mean I'm going to see what top 10 rows of this data looks like. As you would see, all of these columns are geometrical features, and the first column letter identifies the letter to which all these geometrical features correspond to. To use test train split, I would have to extract all the features onto a separate vector and the predicted variable onto a different variable. I store all the features in X and the classification column onto Y. I pass these on to test train split. I've used a split of 80% and 20%. Because this is a large enough data set, I could have gone even further by allowing 90% of the data set for training and leaving 10% for the test. Random state can be any number. This allows reproducibility. When each time you use a test train split, the algorithm would split this dataset by shuffling and randomly picking 80% of it. For you to be able to reproduce the exact shuffle, you give a random state. Next is to build a model. Now I have not gone through any EDA or to identify missing values or doing any scaling, because this data set was used in a paper. It's very clean. There are no missing values, and all these geometrical features are recorded on same scale, and hence we need not treat this dataset for anything outliers, missing values or scales. I'm going to instantiate a support vector machine model and store it in a variable called CLF. I am passing two hyperparameters, gamma and C. Hyperparameters are the parameters which are not learnt during the model building process. So gamma is a measure of influence of any given data point. C, imagine gamma as weights for your hinge loss. C increases the complexity of model. The higher the values of C, the model is more and more complex. You can play around with these values to see how the model would react. Once this model is instantiated, I would fit it onto our training dataset and I would predict it on the test dataset. Ultimate performance measurement should always be done on test. Now you see it took some time to train, couple of seconds, but what has happened under the hood is incredible amount of computation. For all the 20,000 points, what our support vector machine algorithm has done is chop this 20 dimensional space using 26 hyperplanes, if I might. 26 hyperplanes because we have 26 classes. So it has chopped the space, segregating all the A's from the B's, from the C's, from the D's, and so on. So it has measured all the distances, created all these hyperplanes, drawn the margins, and arrived at the best possible hyperplane to cleanly split this data into 26 segments, each segment corresponding to one letter. Now let's see how our algorithm performs. I would predict this fitted model on my test data set and store all the predicted values in a variable called ypred. I would pass y predicted and the actual values onto classification report and see how our model performed. If you see, it would give precision and recall scores along with F1 score. F1 score is a combination of precision and recall. It gives very impressive. If you see, 100% accuracy in detection of A, not only accuracy but both precision and recall. This would mean that every A was correctly classified. Same way, if you go down, you would see very high precision and recall scores. The overall accuracy score of the model was incredible, 98%. There is a way to see how the model has predicted. I have just tagged all the test values against the predicted values and I'm printing out this stack. So you see, for T, actual T, it has predicted the right letter. So on so forth. Q, Y, it has predicted the right letters. Now 98% is an incredible accuracy percentage score. But if you want to see which letters our algorithm went wrong on, I have attempted this using a simple library called string, where I'm creating two labels, lab and plab. The first label is just a list of strings extracted from uppercase English alphabets 0 to 26, and I've iterated through all the variables from this list and prefixed it with PR for prediction. If you see how these variables look like, you would see this is just alphabets A to Z and same alphabets A to Z prefixed with PR. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to import Seaborn to be able to put it as a heat map. The first thing I've done is created a confusion matrix by passing our test actual labels and the predicted variable from our test data set. I've given them labels A to Z, which I've created using lab here. I've converted as a next step, I've converted this CM variable into a data frame with an index of A to Z and column names as pred A to Z, pred A to pred Z. And then just pass this variable onto the heat map. Let's see how it looks. This format G is just to ensure that these values are not converted to scientific notations. If I remove this, you would see all the values in scientific notations. Here, just to remove that, I've used a format G. So the way to read this would be all the actual A's, 149 of them, were predicted as A's. If you traverse right, you would see all the A's have been predicted correctly. Same way for B, 151 were predicted to be B. However, I see one here, that would mean one of the B's was predicted as D. Now it's fair to argue that some of the distortions might have made a B and D more similar because these look almost similar, just a small line between the alphabet. So you would see the amount of values which were predicted correctly are incredibly high. The highest value I see is 5 and 7. Let's see what these are. So this 5, for this 5, that means 5 times C was misclassified, or our model confused it with O. Now some of the distortions might have led C to be bent enough to be confused with O. I see 7 here where I was confused with a letter J, which is also possible. J, if slanted, might look like I. To my eye, I and J almost look similar, and perhaps that's why the model is getting confused. But the point I'm trying to drive home here is, you see the how incredibly powerful this support vector machine is, where even with 26 classes, with fair amount of ease, it has managed to achieve incredible amount of accuracy. What I would urge you guys to do would be try the same data set on different classification algorithms that you now have learned. Try it with logistic regression, try it with naive Bayes and KNN, and then see how these models react. Thank you.